Good afternoon or evening, and welcome to the SPL. This is one of our first broadcasts of this new season. We're here in Season 3, or not yet, rather. We're rather setting the stage. We're here in Relegations, just Phase 1, a whole lot of stuff going on, but nonetheless, today is all about Europe.
Today's all about Europe. We've actually switched the days. Typically, we've done North America on Saturday and Europe on Sunday. Decided to switch it up here for Season 3, and I'm pretty excited. Like you said, multiple phases to the relegations. This first one is going to be open bracket. We're going to see a lot of teams kind of just forming, a lot of Challenger Cup players feeling it out, but we're also going to be seeing some pretty well-known players and teams. We have the Leftovers coming out. Badge's new team after getting removed off of Fnatic. There's members of the Poppy making their return, and after the open bracket relegations, in a couple weeks, we'll be moving on to those winners facing off against the Challenger Cup teams from the end of last year.
Yeah, it's a little complicated, but just to break it down, these next 2 weeks are going to be complete open bracket. Anybody can sign up. Anybody from, well, your sister or your favorite player that hasn't made the SPL just yet. As Adanas just mentioned, we're going to see big names like Badger and stuff like that. Also, some returning names. If you're familiar with Dirgius, he's actually going to be playing in this open bracket today as well. So 2 weeks of open bracket, then those teams will face against the Challenger Cup team, and then finally we'll be off against the actual hard relegations. Those teams, those winners, will face off against the Pro League. But to get there, it all starts right here with us, Papis versus Team Envo, and we're going to take a look at how this one goes in right in to picks and bans.
Papis making their return, a Challenger Cup team from last year. Actually, they started at the beginning of Season 2, battling for a spot to get into the SPL. Unfortunately for them, they fell just short. They were very close. They made it all the way to the last leg of the race. This time, they're back with a couple new players and some role swaps, as we will see Warchi in the solo lane. Last year, he was Hunter, made the swap over to solo lane to a role I'd say has been much more impactful in the metagame.
Yeah, so the solo lane, when it comes to Season 3 meta, everything is pretty much on the table. There are, well, I'm sure somebody's going to tell you there's a right and a wrong build, but at the moment, it's really all just research and stuff. Kevin and I and all the commentators here have really sunk a ton of hours into watching what the professional world does, and I mean, frankly, there's just a lot of different options for players right now.
Bans coming forward, though. We see Sol and Alquang banned up by the Papis, Giannis and Kepri taken out by Team Envo, and Athena actually first pick for Papis. And that's something to point out here is heading into Season 3, the biggest change I would say outside of the items, outside of the god changes, the relic system. Actives are no more. It is now relics, and the previous purification beads, which were on 90-second cooldown, now you can get it at level 1 for 0 gold, but it's only 160 seconds. So I do expect to see a lot of high CC compositions, and Athena is probably the best at burning that purification relic, and I could see why Papis want to target her out early.
And meanwhile, Envo, they got the same memo that you did, Kevin, so they're going to go with Geb and Thor. Thor a little bit less impactful on the statement that I'm about to make, which is Geb's shield will actually negate some of the crowd control that the Papis will be able to bring with this Athena. And then the follow-up selection of Thor, well, Thor isn't quite truly global like an Athena, going from left to right lane, but Thor is semi-global and should be able to chase around the Athena if he needs to.
Papis going to take a very strong Hunter for lane control in Chiron. Probably two of the hardest pushing Hunters in the game are going to be Neath and Chiron, and at the end of the last season, we saw a lot of those matchups. I do expect Envo to look for that as well. The global, very strong, and now Poppy's actually picking up Isis, so they have a lot of early pressure, not only from the Chiron with lane control, but Isis has very strong lane control as well as multiple CCs, and like we said, anyone that can burn that purification relic very easily is going to be heavily contested. Envo, though, they're not going to be grabbing a Hunter too early. They're going to take Bellona in the soul lane.
So Isis is going to be doing a lot of the beads burning along with Athena. Spirit Ball, sometimes you are forced into beadsing it. Go ahead.
Two bans here. We forgot to mention, heading into Season 3 also, for those who don't know, ranked play and competitive play now has two bans coming into this second phase. So you will see a lot more counter options and counter picks coming out. So Envo, they're going to first ban away Robin, Poppy's going to ban away Scylla, and now Envo, they have once again another spot to target ban away a player.
Yeah, so what this means is it's a lot of impact for the players that have yet to pick. You really are stretching that god pool pretty deep if you start to target one person. 4 bans, can cut some roles almost in half. So definitely want to be aware of what's going on there. Whereas the Poppies, they're taking a look towards the mid lane.
And that's exactly what we're talking about. Coming into that second phase, you can just target a player out and target a god out specifically. And you can see Scylla Poseidon taken away immediately gone from Papis. They want to make sure their Isis has a lot of push and a lot of pressure. And taking away Scylla, who is very strong in this meta right now because she has a root on her normal abilities. Once again, another purification burning active, or excuse me, relic. And then Poseidon also doing very well with 100 to 0 burst potential with all the magical damage in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the key right there is the burst potential out of it. If you take a look at the bans that are going towards the mid lane, Soul included, Soul, Scylla, Poseidon, these are all mages that are just going to blow you up from 100 to 0. So the Papis are aware of that burst potential, and they want to avoid it. Team Envo, they pick up Hou-Yi, just a pretty standard hunter choice, but the Nemesis is anything but when compared to Season 2. Last year, she was nowhere to be seen. This year, the first game that we're seeing in our sort of preseason, if you will, Kevin, we see a Nemesis. Talk to me about why we're seeing her right now.
The Nemesis is solely going to be used to pick off Geb. You can see there's a lot of pressure coming out of the mid lane and the duo lane from the Papis. They're more than likely going to win those lanes outside of some big mistakes here. Sure. And the Nemesis, you know, she takes a little bit to get going. So now that you have the pressure in the mid, you could safely pick a Nemesis who's going to struggle a little bit compared to a Thor early. But also, Nemesis, once she hits 5, all she needs to do is ult the Geb on cooldown when he rotates in and pick him off. That's the composition the Papis are going for. They're looking for these picks. They want Sobek to control Bellona, make sure she stays out of the fight, and they want the Nemesis to target out the Geb early. The Isis and the Chiron are going to put out a lot of pressure on the map, and they're looking to get the early Gold Furies. They want to snowball. Papis want to close this out by 20 minutes.
You know, it's interesting. The Papis have a lot on this team of almost everything but damage. Chiron, of course, is going to do a ton of damage as a hunter, and Isis does provide damage, but you think of her, we've mentioned her crowd control a lot more than otherwise. So as we look towards the other picks, you know, the Nemesis late game will do the damage once the Chinsai come online, if we see that build. But really, I'm concerned as to where the Papis are going to be able to deal the most damage, as opposed to Envo, whose team comp seems a little bit more well-rounded.
That's the thing, right? It's the pick composition of the Papis. They want to snowball early. They have a lot of gods that have single target burst potential or single target lockdown, whereas Envo, they've got the giant AoEs, right? Yeah. They have Eagle's Rally, they have Deathwalker, Berserker's Barrage coming out from the Thor, Agni obviously throwing out, you know, Rainfire, Geb, big AoE Cataclysm, Hayzer on this Hou-Yi, also big ultimates coming out from this. It's like, it's a bunch of circles. Sure. It's circles versus like one-on-one pick potential, and I think the later this game goes, if it's close, Envo takes it in the late game.
So again, Kevin just referenced them a little bit, but why don't we introduce these teams, and some of these players are a little bit newer to you guys at home. On the red squad on the right-hand side, Team Envo is going to be represented by Deathwalker in the jungle, JustJack in the mid. On Agni, long lane is going to be Kayla S, Hayzer, and then No Numbers will be playing Bellona in the short lane, whereas the Papis, they're a returning squad, but things have been watched around. Warchi, one of the biggest European streamers, is actually going to be in the solo lane on that Sobek, Dheylo in the jungle on Nemesis, TheAlexMC in mid on Isis. In the long lane will be DavidArnaiz and Peria 12. That was an interesting start that we saw in the back. Both camps cleared at the same time.
I don't even care about them. I'm looking at Envo. 3 members, or all members, actually went to the mid camps at first, then spread out for their buffs. Now they're going to their picks. You can see they're already level 2 before they even hit wave. Envo, I think, have a small advantage in experience off of this, but it looks like Agni is going to get pressured out early. We'll have to see how this works out. And you can already see the Isis and Nemesis rotating over. It looks like they're going to split the pigs. And yeah, the start of these games, I think, is going to be something you should really be looking at. Yeah,
I mean, last year, and we will eventually, of course, most people will assume that we'll come along to a general consensus of what the correct quote-unquote way to do things is. But here, this early in the season, teams are going to be trying a lot of different things. We saw the double camp clear on the left side, and then out of Envo, we saw both mid camps being taken, as you said. There are a plethora of different ways to start out in the jungle, and it's up to these teams to really figure out what the best strategy is to really launch themselves into the lead.
In the duo lane, Papis, obviously dominating Chiron, very hard to push back, and especially when your support on the other end, on Envo's side, is Geb. Geb really struggles in the lane early on. He is almost always under his tower, no matter what hunter he's paired with, unless it's like a Neith or a Chiron, and you could see just that. And actually, Papis, they're looking to actually get aggressive, gonna find the taunt onto Kayla, and just a little bit of poke.
And of course, it's always a little bit more poke than you anticipate when you're against the Chiron because of that free shot that his kit allows him. So a couple of pings coming out. Isis is aware, or rather the team Envo is aware that Isis is right there. Getting ready to get smoked. A couple of damage after the stun off of Agni, but not enough. Love the double tap on a Thor.
I really don't think he expected to hit it, because if he had if Thor had expected to hit that double tap, he would have teleported in. Berserker's Barrage and a single auto attack for the auto attack cancel would have spelled first blood. That was so much damage, and I'm pretty sure the red has a... Does Thor have a red pot on?
Yes, the Thor started with a red pot.
100% that Isis would have been dead.
Yeah, Deathwalker, I guess, hitting those freehand.
You don't expect to hit him.
Exactly.
You really don't expect to hit the freehand. You're like, oh, maybe I'll get lucky and hit the double tap.
Usually you get the one shot, right? You get the when you throw the hammer, they always get hit, and then following it up, not everybody's adapting, right? So he hits it.
No, there's only one adapting, and he won Worlds. I gotta get the pun started early, Thom.
Oh, jeez.
Open it in relegations. We'll flesh him out in relegations and figure it out from there. Left-hand side, you can see David on this Athena, looking to steal away those pigs, but the rotation from Deathwalker gonna stop that. No numbers level 5, and Dheylo still not no ultimate available. You can see he needs a couple more creeps, but I really want to see this Nemesis, once she hits 5, put heavy focus on the Geb. I want to see a lot of rotations from him, because like I said, the later this game goes, the worse it gets for the Papis. Very strong pick comp. If they don't get the picks, they're just wasting their own time.
And that's quite, I mean, it's the opposite for the Nemesis specifically. The rest of the team might want to get things going right away, but Nemesis is definitely a character that wants to last longer into the game. So we'll see if that sort of cognitive dissonance is going to hurt the team at all.
Right-hand side, Athena charging the ult. Sobek going in. The blue buff was getting stolen away, and numbers flung back, and there's the Nemesis ult. There's Eagle's rally, and that should just be a disengage from both teams. And ultimate used basically to get Envo off of that blue buff.
Yeah, just wanted to secure the jungle. I like the plan that Envo had, but better than that, I like the decision to go ahead and disengage. It's very easy to say, hey, we've got the numbers advantage, let's stick to this and push our luck. And that's how you wind up giving up first bloods, and that's how you wind up, giving out this even game and letting it snowball in the other direction.
Nemesis using her ult there, not honestly the biggest thing. Coming into Season 3, she was buffed in the sense that her ultimate now on a lower cooldown as she levels it up. So you could be a little bit more liberal with those ultimates. And something to note too is one of the biggest weaknesses that Nemesis had last season is that she was very countered by items and actives specifically. Sprint or Heavenly Agility when it was on a 90-second cooldown, players would always have it up. Now that it's on a relic, it's much easier to get early and counter her. But it's a 140-second cooldown. So baiting out that sprint is something the Nemesis really wants to look to do to make sure no one's going to just basically immune her ult and be able to speed off.
And also, not for nothing. I mean, Nemesis is generally... she's an ult bot, sort of like Hun Bats, where that's really where you're looking for. She's got a dash, she's got a shield, and a slow. I mean, she's really just an ult and a bunch of basic attacks, and some abilities that'll allow her to really do that. So the lowering of the cooldowns allows her to be just a little bit more relevant, because it was hard to pick her sometimes, even when you wanted to. Specifically, Nemesis finds luck and success against high, tanky targets. So, as you said, the Geb should be the focus for Nemesis in this game.
Warchi here getting poked out a little bit by no numbers. The Bellona versus Sobek matchup so far, even in gold. Teleports are online for both players.
So here's a question about the solo lane since you brought it up. Warchi started off just boots. No starting item, nothing fancy, just cooldown boots. That's how he walked out of the gate. How do you feel about that one? Do you think that it's worth the loss of the Mark of the Vanguard that we usually see?
I mean, as long as he doesn't die and get pressured out too early, it's fine. You can see no numbers is trying to poke him out, but the gold is still even. It was a risk-reward thing for him. He wanted to get his cooldown online as soon as possible. He didn't want to invest the 800 gold into that Mark of the Vanguard, and as long as he make it work like he is, it's fine. And you can see, though, Nemesis setting up for a gank on the right-hand side. We have a quick pause, guys. We'll get back to you. Get back to the game here shortly, but that Nemesis setting up to gank, no numbers at the very least. They want to make sure to burn that Eagles Rally ultimate, so something to look out for. Yeah,
the Eagles Rally ult, I mean, it's usually a wash when it comes against the Sobek, right? Because the Eagles Rally comes up top, and then Sobek either, dashes away or...
Bellona doesn't have a lot of kill potential in 1v1 typically. Unless the other player, really messes up.
A lot of times what you see Bellona kills is after a long chase with Frostbound Hammer. You just go in absolutely nowhere, but it's not very quick. And Warchi combines with the jungler to pick up first blood for the Papis right onto No Numbers. So No Numbers might have wanted to look for it, but Warchi found it first.
And, unfortunately for No Numbers, wasn't able to get a single hit on the Nemesis. The Nemesis dies to tower, so he doesn't get a kill. He only gets the assist gold, but look at this. Left-hand side, two-man taunt, spear ball over the corner, and now the Suns are raining down the two-man knockup, and it's just the Papis. They're tanking the ult, and it's so unfortunate for them. Deathwalker on one hit. Warchi trying to get out here. Oh, the quick turnaround. Cheeky play from Warchi. He's going to trade out 1-for-1 and almost gets Hayzer as well.
There's a follow-up from TheAlexMC, but unfortunately JustJack comes around and takes out Badinger as well. So it's 3-for-3 right here down the middle, including that first blood that we saw. And Envo Clan, that was their plan. Usually what we see on the right side, when there's a gank, the left side excels and goes directly for the objective. Great Gem Shield is going to save the life of Agni one more time, and here comes Bellona.
Bigger silence there coming out. No Numbers can't get the bludgeon off, but still trying to chase down the Nemesis. One hit Eagles rally, it's used, but the dash from Dheylo was up just in time. The stun's not going to connect, and right now No Numbers is ripping through the Papis. One more hit, but it's Deathwalker in the sky going to come crashing down and find the last hit. Warchi's come back after spawn, trying to chase down a couple members, but now Envo Clan, they're going to back off. And that was such a great play from both teams. Very extended engagement. I do want to go back to the Gold Fury play, though. We actually saw a two-man taunt into the spear ball over the wall. Fantastic aim from TheAlexMC. But unfortunately, Hayzer immediately drops the Suns, and it's Kayla's. Kayla's keeps two players CC'd in the Suns for basically the entire duration. Cataclysm, knock-up, body blocks, and because of that, the Papis just tank too much damage from the Suns, and they end up losing the engagement at the end of it all.
And here's the point that I really liked about that. As I was saying, when it gets heavy on the right, on the solo lane side of the map, pretty much Gold Fury is the de facto, right? That's why we saw David or the Athena player show his face over by the Gold Fury. But if you noticed right before then, Enzo Clan was waiting right on this rock. They didn't actually go for gold. They went for the gank. They stood there knowing that somebody from Papis would have to check on the Gold Fury, and then Envo went out and absolutely capitalized.
Ooh, Agni in a bad spot. You can see the rotation coming in. Isis ult drop, but Kayla's is here to save him, and Kayla's for me. So far, great game.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on point, or he or she's been on point with these Gem Shields, absolutely, to save the life of the Agni before, to save the life of his teammate right there as well. So Geb is pretty much always around when his team needs
And look
him.
at his slash line, 0, 0, and 5. He's been a part of every single kill coming out from Envo. No other player has even been a part of 4 kills. This guy is everywhere right now. Big fan of him, and big part of why Envo has right now about an 800 gold lead. And like I said, the later this game goes, the better it gets for them. So far, the Papis, they haven't really set up for any picks. It seems like they've been trying to force team fights. The Nemesis obviously was able to pick off No Numbers for first blood, but ever since then, it just seems like they're not in position to find the kills they need.
Yeah, the Papi and Envo Clan is playing this very well because they know the story just as well as you do, that the Papis have to find these picks, and so Envo has been putting them into situations where they sort of have to team fight. Like we said, the secret gank by the Gold Fury, Envo shows up and takes advantage of the Athena being, I don't want to say out of position, where she's supposed to be, but Envo makes it look like she's out of position, and then they force the Papis into that team fight, and that's the game plan for Envo. They want to put the Papis in a situation where they can't say no, and right now, Chiron, I mean, he's not going to be able to get a kill right here.
You can see he's planted in place. Unless he gets a kill, he's going to die, and he's going to fall, and there comes Deathwalker trying to find Warchi.
Warchi's in trouble, but he's got Athena channeling on top. Takes a lot of damage out of Geb, but Geb stuns the both of them in response, and that's going to serve David a death sentence.
Now, nice spirit ball, going to keep Hayzer at bay, but the Agni's turning his attention over to Dheylo, and he's actually going to get walled out. Perfect placement from Deathwalker. There's the dash, gets out, but too much damage coming out from JustJack. That pin boots and do more of online doing a lot. Actually, oh, never mind. Kayla with the Geb. Kayla with the Geb shield once again.
Again with the Geb shield, through the walls, over the hills, anywhere you want this Geb to be is exactly where he
Look
finds
at the CC chain, man. Right now, Envo are playing so well, 9-3. That overall, a 2-for-0, but all 5 members healthy and fresh, and they're going to be able to pick up this Gold Fury. Likely uncontested. You can see Chiron doing his back camps on the minimap. He's not even going to look over towards the left-hand side of the map.
Beautiful play coming out from Envo. Just 10 minutes in, they're securing their lead by about 4,000 gold thanks to a couple of raw exchanges. 6 kills and a Gold Fury. Envo sitting pretty up on top.
Dheylo has just seemed to be getting abused, and the Papis, they draft this pick style comp, but they're the ones that have been getting picked. This time it was Chiron rotating in, no wards on the Gold Fury. Had to know something was going on. That's why he was spot checking the Gold Fury. He gets piled on top of. After that, David walks in. He gets piled on top of. And then it's Warchi, and it's just one at a time. The Papis are going in. They're not fighting as a team. They're kind of just fighting on their own right now, and they really need to come together, because if this keeps on, the Envo Clan is just going to run away with this game.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at the Envo Clan's vision on the left-hand side of the map towards the long lane. None of these wards are really focused on keeping the lane safe. The wards are really focused on keeping that jungle region information-filled so that Envo can jump on a single player when they find him.
Warchi going to fling no numbers into tower, try and body block him. Just going to be a little bit of poke for now, and he's actually going aggressive, but what? There's no one else around. I guess he's calling for Athena ult?
No, Athena ult's going to go on the left side after the invade. A lot of times you'll see Sobek use their ult early just to be able to make use of that cooldown and bring up some mana in the process. And I mean, if you can put Bellona down to 40% HP, you might as well.
He's getting lane control, which is good for him. And now it's actually Envo Clan aggressing onto this tier 1 on mid. I would really like to see Warchi start to rotate over, because no numbers is a non-factor in this match right now. And instead, he's actually going to continue to stay aggressive. Envo Clan recognize that, and they're going to rotate over and try and pick Warchi. He's actually backs in lane. This is bad for him. He has no idea what's happening right now.
Yeah, there's no communication coming from the rest of the Papis. The entire team sees Envo coming to the right-hand side. Warchi has no idea, or at least he's playing like it, and now he's going to play from the base, being the 10th kill on the side of Envo. Here comes the rest of the squad, very low, and no numbers gets taken out by TheAlexMC. He was the person with a sliver of HP you saw the back line, but Wingust goes right on through all those obstructions.
1 for 1 so far. TheAlexMC gonna get stunned out here. It's this Agni stuck under tower. One more hit. That's finally gonna be it. It will be the Chiron to pick that one up. And Kayla super low. The snipe! It connects, but not enough damage on one hit. And no free pop from that 2 to finish him off. In the meantime, though, Hayzer has been split pushing. He'll get a tier 1 on left. But he does lose that tier 1 on right, and that was just such a great play from the Papis, recognizing that Warchi was getting collapsed on and then making their own rotation to counter that.
Excuse me, just a little bit too late though. Like I said, Warchi, there was 4 blue players coming to the right-hand side following all of Envo Clan, and Warchi was still in the middle of the lane. Now, we don't have their comms, Kevin, but one of 2 things went wrong here. Either the Papis didn't communicate to Warchi, hey, there's people coming, or Warchi decided to ignore the call. Either way, something went wrong, and that's what put that situation, that's what made that situation a problem. And at the end of the day, it really wasn't worth it. Mid tower went down due to just brute force by Envo Clan. Sure, Papis get right tier 1, but as you said, there was a split push going on the left-hand side as well. So you're trading 2 tier 1s for a couple of kills and a different tier 1? Not worth it.
Quick pause coming out, guys, from the TheAlexMC, and the Papis will be back in the game as soon as we can. So far, though, I would say that the Papis for me have been kind of scattered. They've been, it seems, just doing their own thing, and like you said, like just right there, Warchi, he forces no numbers ult, he gets lane control, but his team is getting piled on in the mid lane, and he's the only one really with the direct lead on his lane partner.
Right.
And instead, he just continues to sit at the edge of the tower, doesn't rotate, doesn't make any move. Finally, Envo Clan pull off, try and help no numbers, try and get a pick onto Warchi, and Warchi doesn't even notice it for 10 seconds. So there was no calls going on, it seems. And then, honestly, he does a good job of juking around and allowing his team to rotate in and set up for a couple more kills, but Papis, they need to get it together right now, because they are just all on different pages, and their whole composition is let's get picks early. The picks early didn't work, so now they need to figure out how they can win heading into this mid game.
I mean, it's worth noting that Agni kill was very important, and here's Gab getting smoked. Shield is already down, but there's a Thor in the air. Over the top comes the solo laner. We're looking for the Thor stun. There is the Berserker's Barrage. Damage dealing out, and TheAlexMC gets taken out right after his ultimate is popped. Warchi getting taken out on the right-hand side. David getting taken out on the mid side. Or can he escape? I don't think so. JustJack puts a couple more stacks onto that Doom Orb. 36 in total. And now Envo Clan, they take their kills, not comfortable enough to go with a Fire Giant this early. So instead, we'll see them push down this right-hand tower.
4 for 1. What a fantastic play coming out from Envo Clan, right? The Gep gets picked, and you can see the Athena ult. Like, that was planned. The Athena ults onto Isis, trying to pick him off.
Yep.
But the big mistake for me came out of TheAlexMC. No circle protection until 2 players had already died. I'm not exactly sure why that happened, but that needs to be dropped the second the team fight happens. Bellona finds 3 in her stun. Deathwalker found 3 as well. And it was just that big AoE and a very small quarter, which is the whole point of Envo Clan. The Papis literally just forced an engagement in the perfect position for Envo Clan to win.
And you know, it really is worth noting that, sure, the Papis have made a couple of mistakes here, but Envo Clan are actually playing really, really well. One of the things that I mean, I know everybody's going to mention it already. I love how quickly that Envo Clan is switching to the objective after they win the fight. There just isn't any conversation. Immediately, they go to these towers. I mean, the mid lane tower that we saw taken 10 minutes ago, or about 5 minutes ago, that was just, hey, we have an opportunity. Let's just push it and see what happens. And that allowed them to go ahead and pick up 500 gold right in the mid lane.
I almost thought they were going to go for Fire Jet. I was like, are they doing like, it could have been a possibility, but they didn't want to risk it. They took the safe, secured gold. Gold Fury up again, going to be the next point of contention more than likely. I would like to see Envo Clan force that, kind of do the exact same thing during the first Gold Fury, where they all group up for it position-wise and then try and find someone who's rotating in to counter ward. Right now, Papis have full vision control. That you can see a ward on the bottom right-hand side in your mid-camps, the ward directly on the Gold Fury, and a ward on the top side. And that's a ward that we see quite often if you know your team can't fully commit to warding exactly the Gold Fury. They place that ward because no one will ever place a sentry in a position to counter it, and so they get to see if Envo Clan pull the Gold Fury. If they pull it to that edge, the upper edge, they'll spot it out, and right there, you can see they're spotting it out.
Yeah, so the players are more than aware.
They're baiting again.
Of
I
what's
love
going
this.
on here. Yeah, and they're just waiting. Envo Clan are just waiting. They're going to go ahead and cut out the vision that Papis have on the Gold Fury, and they're going to pull the Gold Fury, and they're dealing a lot of damage to it. Already down to 50% HP. David's aware, but I mean, there's just too much damage already. 25% on the objective. Here comes Isis and Athena. Envo already take out the Gold Fury. Isis drops her ultimate around just to protect Athena, and it's not good enough as JustJack takes out the support.
Warchi rolls in. You can see no numbers trying to find something, but it's going to be Deathwalker landing down on Warchi. Stun connects in there. Warchi finishes off at Deathwalker. And now Papis, they're feeling themselves, and there it is. No numbers. He gets pulled into the team, and right now the Papis are doing exactly what they need to. They're focusing on one player at a time. No numbers. There's the dash. Bulwark is popped. Kayla's blinks forward, looking to body block, and he's going to take it. He will die for this, but at the very least, the Bellona is going to stay alive.
For the moment, she will. TheAlexMC looked like he might have had some damage going the way of Bellona. And now Envo Clan want to turn things around, looking for a hot bounce.
You saw that, right?
Alex.
He was feeling it. He's practiced that one.
Yeah. I saw that one pretty well. Definitely. And I'm excited to see Ho-Yi. Ho-Yi's a character. When he came out, Kevin, I sat there and I was like, I can't wait for like a year or two from now to see how good these players get. And one of the big things that, you don't necessarily think about when coming into a new map is how much the geometry changes. So for a character like Ho-Yi, that's going to matter a lot.
It's like the best Ho-Yi players in the world are like the Rain Man, where they just see the numbers in their head, right? They're just like instantly calculate it. It's not actually happening, but if it was.
It's funny. The Hunter for Fnatic, Reels X, he's great at pool. I don't think Ho-Yi when I see him, so maybe there's a little bit difference when it comes to knowing your angles, but it's really about the bigger picture, I suppose, here, right? Again, Envo and the Papis. Envo really off to a hard lead, 4,000 gold here.
So I want to talk, it's 4,700. I want to talk about items real quick.
Sure.
I'm looking at JustJack on this Agni. So there's a lot of magical power in Smite now. Typical late game build for mages last season was 500 to 600 with no buffs.
Yep.
That's what you're at 5 slots now. And honestly, you can even afford to go utility items in that place and still do the same damage you did last year. That is exactly what JustJack did. He picks up this winged blade, and the entire point is to counter Dheylo. The second that ult comes off, the second the slow happens, he's going to get that immunity, he's going to get a speed up, and he's going to be able to escape and not get chased down by the Nemesis. And that is the biggest weakness of Nemesis. Too easily countered by items, too easily countered by relics, and if the team plays intelligently around the Nemesis, she can't really do anything.
Yeah, you know, I actually, as much as I love Nemesis, I think she's a great pick. I think she's a great pick because she's a niche pick, and I'm not so sure that this is really where she belongs. The slow is easily immune, but the rest of the ultimate isn't. Stripping protections and percent damage, so...
I like the Nemesis pick. I like the composition and what the Papis were going for. They just haven't executed properly.
True.
That's not to say the game's over, but they are at this 20-minute mark. They don't have the lead, and the team that's going to be better late game does. It's going to be real rough. Envo Clan have to make mistakes, in my opinion, for the Papis to get back into it.
You know, I'll slightly disagree with you on that one. I think this is the
Deathwalker
moment
in the air.
that Papis need to look for. Thor is going up, and he's going to engage, and he's not going to engage on a single person. And the Papis need to take this opportunity. 4,000 gold is a window that you can go and take the fight against your superior. If Papis take a fight and then win the fight, we're looking at a tie game. If Envo Clan win the next fight, we're looking at a game that is much harder for the Papis to get back in. And another missed engage. 2 stuns, and this time JustJack raining fire down on top of the Papis. There's going to be the ultimate out of ISIS to save the life of some teammates, and very deep is No Numbers, all by himself.
Just completely annihilated. Dheylo had no time to react. You can see the relic. His purification is still online. It was so fast that he actually couldn't do anything. Kayla's going to get plucked in a bad spot. Chiron will finish that kill, and No Numbers just going to be zoning out the carries in the back while Berserker's Barrage rips through Warchi and David. And now, looks like Envo, they're going to take the tier 2 tower. They're going to take the one pick they had, and they're going to take that advantage and back off. But great play from them all around. They kind of full committed onto Dheylo there and didn't really have enough once they couldn't chase down the next couple kills. But so far, Envo Clan looking great.
Yeah, that was a little bit sloppy coming out of Envo. We saw the Thor go up and then miss his engagement, and then the Geb actually missed who looked like his target was, and instead got 2 players. Sometimes you just dash into a wall, man.
It's like, I know that feeling, because it's like, I can see the crack. I can get through. I can get through this, man. And then he does, It's like one of those things. Athena's got to lose some weight. I think the shield is a little actually a bit too wide.
It's the shield, okay? It's the shield. Don't talk about her weight, all right? That's my girl.
We hang out with Bacchus too much.
Warchi making his way over towards these mid camps.
Deathwalker.
Thor's going to go right back up as the Papis seem to have the better positioning around Fire Giant. But here comes a lot of damage out of Deathwalker, and just barely is Chiron going to get out of the way. Warchi might not be able to do the same thanks to a fantastic wall out of Deathwalker, but he'll sit in the ultimate, and that'll deter anybody from really aggressing onto him for that damage.
No Numbers back in, going to get stunned out. In the meantime, Nemesis chase around, Eagles rally over the top, and there's the dash in.
Beautiful.
One more bomb, not going to connect. There's Nemesis ult on No Number. He's already deep in the fight. Kayla's trying to body block, and now Envo Clan, they're in a bad spot. Sun's actually going to do a lot of damage, but it looks like both teams don't want to fully commit. Warchi's a little bit too deep, though, surrounded by 4 members. Hayzer finds the last shot, and just going to be a 1-for-0 in favor of Envo.
Hayzer's the one that split up that fight completely. Comes around the backside, drops the Suns.
Perfect placement of the Suns.
Yeah, just in the middle of everything. It was an effective Hunbat ult.
I think,
that was
honestly,
no evil
his
right
ultimates have been very well placed, and that's something that not a lot of players...
It's hard to do.
It is, because when's the perfect time to place your Suns? He hasn't placed it at the start of a fight ever. It's always been in the middle, or when he knows his team can follow up, control, and lock down players. At the Gold Fury, the second he dropped his Suns, there was combo from Kayla's on that Geb, the Cataclysm, knock up, keep 2 players locked down. Over at the right-hand side, Harpies, it was, all right, let Deathwalker come in, let Bellona come in. All right, now I'm going to place my Suns. And not only am I going to place it on them, I'm going to place it a little bit more back. So if they try and retreat, they take more damage running away.
It's a lot, it's a lot like a Cupid ult in the regard of how big it is, and you talk to pros and players that actually play the game at a high level, and big circle hard to miss, right? But really maximizing the damage out of the Suns is tough to really. You got to find that perfect positioning. But meanwhile, during that conversation, Envo Clan actually took out the Gold Fury for free, which puts them almost 10,000 gold in the lead here in our round of 16 match in our phase 1 of European relegations.
Warchi here. A little bit caught out. I don't think the bounce connected there, but
nope.
Right now, Envo Clan, they have their lead. This is what I love from them. They're baiting Fire Giant. They know there's only 1 objective, so on the right-hand side of the map, they might as well all group up for this and try and find a pick. From there, they can either force the tier 2 tower or force Fire Giant. They just want Papis to make a mistake, and Deathwalker, he's going to take to the sky for this one.
And David might have made that mistake, walking right into the clutches of the enemy. Life is not saved as JustJack's passive comes on through and takes out the support on the backside. Here comes Bellona, just enough to push the enemy off of the tower, and that's going to give Envo Clan another 1,500 gold on the side of their lead, thanks to that tier 2 tower on the right-hand side.
11,000, but they haven't spent that gold yet. Look at this. Once again, they're baiting. They want Warchi to just appear on the corner. They need to make sure not to get in a bad spot, and there it is. He's going to be slowed. Warchi actually running into the team, gets a 3-man knockup, and he's going to die from JustJack, the passive, and that was a very odd play. Warchi decides not to run away, decides to run into the team.
Dead no matter what, Kevin.
I think there was a better chance of him getting away. He could have had his team help stun and CC, but...
I mean, there's a better chance of me staying dry in a monsoon if I hide it next to a building, but I'm still going to get wet. I think that was a dead Sobek no matter what. And with that pick, Envo Clan have enough breathing room to take out the Fire Giant, already very low, about 10%, as the zoning duty goes to Thor and Bellona. Envo Clan pick up the Fire Giant with almost no contestation, and the rest of the Poppies have to run away as Envo Clan come down the lane with that Fire Giant around their waist.
Sprint going to be popped in, yeah, full disengage right now. And now, Envo Clan, there was a couple players a little bit low, but with that Fire Giant rebuff, they can stay here and be relatively healthy enough to force out this Phoenix. You can see all 5 members grouped up, but Poppies, they're ready to fight. They're not going to give this one up for free.
Yeah, no, this is Envo Clan. They have to taunt the Poppies off of this Phoenix pretty much. I mean, Envo Clan, they're up over 10,000 gold. They will win any fight barring large mistakes head to head. So that's what they want to find. And the Poppies, on the other hand, they need to fight 5-on-6. They need to fight under a structure. That's what they need to do.
I like Envo here, making the decision to back. You can see right now, though, Poppy's so scared. 5-man group, 5-man splitting back Harpies at this point in the game. Taking a look at builds, Chin Sai's actually picked up by no numbers. He's been wrecking havoc in the back lines, and now he's going to have a lot more damage on top of that. You can see Chin Sai's picked up for Hayzer. This is the new, I would say this is the new Hunter build we've been seeing mostly, is the Transcendence into Aussie and Ickfall, 2 very cheap bridge items, straight into the Chin Sais, which now have 40 power on them. So you have your power basis in the Chins and the Transcendence. You have a lot of attack speed, as well as the Chin's passive to go with that.
It's such an odd thought process as well, because usually Chins is an item that doesn't have anything to do with power, right? Power doesn't impact the amount of damage that Chins' passive gives out. So usually it's one or the other. I mean, what always comes to mind for me is full tank build plus a Chins to be able to do some damage, whether it's a Chakra or Sun Wukong. So seeing this on the Hunter build, it's a little bit of a throwback to the old Unicorn build of yesteryear, because as you notice, there's no crit online for Hayzer.
And he's not going to, the Ickfile will actually get sold out for Oboe typically. So there's a ton of teamfight damage on Hunters now, and as well as they do a little bit less to Squishy, but they're more effective against frontliners. And you can see frontliners still very important. Deathwalker takes to this guy, looking to find Warchi, I'm guessing. Nice dash away. Deathwalker not going to be in range. Actually is in range. Comes crashing down in the back, and now this fight's completely split up.
And Warchi is going to go push up onto the 2 opponents right in the front-hand side, take about half HP away from Gab, and it's a beautiful Cataclysm right into the damage from Hayzer. And that's going to put Dheylo into the ground. Kayla S with the last hit on that one. And it looks like the Poppies defense, while not broken, has definitely suffered a little bit, but Envo Clan, their Gab is very low. He'll blink in nonetheless, and the Mage will take out Padilla. 2 members of Poppies being pushed out on the left-hand side. Warchi doing what he can, but the Phoenix has already fallen, and Envo Clan get exactly what they came for.
3 members left for the Poppies here. The next 2 not spawning for 20 seconds. Nice wall from Deathwalker. Gonna keep Warchi in place, and he's gonna fall. Now it's just the Isis and the Athena. And the Athena can't body block 5 players. The second Phoenix falls, and now Envo Clan, they're going to completely play this game safe. Deathwalker takes to this guy. He's literally looking to zone any players. Not going to have enough damage to one-shot someone on his own. That's going to be the last Phoenix. Deathwalker comes crashing down, and now Envo Clan, they're going to take all that gold they just earned. They're going to back, and they're going to come rushing into the Fire Giant, I'm guessing. Take that out, and then in the game.
Yeah, Fire Giant has about a minute plus left on it before Envo Clan able to go ahead and take it. But again, that probably is their plan. I do like the decision to play it a little bit safe. There was 20 seconds on Warchi and Padilla over there for the Poppies, so that means it was a 5-on-3, but Envo still don't elect to just barrel into the Titan.
Play it safe.
I like that restraint.
We've seen there's been a very few number of games in Smite's history where you have players have come back from 3 Phoenixes. And even fewer when you've come back from 3 Phoenixes down when you don't even have a tier 2 tower down. That's the thing, right? Maybe if Papis have all of Envo Clan's towers down, maybe they could find a team fight and then rush in and win. I don't think that's happening here. Papis, this is more than likely over for them. And for me, just look at these damage charts. Nemesis, Dheylo, 6,200, less than Kayla's Geb. I mean, he's just been completely ineffective all game.
This is what you find. This is what you find a lot when it comes to Nemesis, Kevin, is
she either wins hard early or she loses hard early.
Exactly, because as I said, I mean, dash, it deals damage, but it's not a damage-dealing ability. You know what I'm saying there, right? Same thing goes for shield. It's going to do some damage, but it's not a damage-dealing ability. Slice and Dice isn't going to cut you down to 25% HP anytime soon. That's what the ultimate is for. It's really all about the basics. But the problem for Dheylo is he hasn't been able to stay in these fights and be relevant enough to deal basic attack damage. So he's just not dealing any damage, and he's getting absolutely smoked by this Agni.
I'm loving Envo Clan. They look really clean right now.
They're definitely a team that understands their purpose.
They understand their composition, how to utilize it. They've done a great job so far. JustJack, look at him, going into 2 defensive and utility items because he knows with Doom Warp he has the damage he needs to output. He doesn't need more damage. He's already basically one-shotting the squishies. So make sure to get the Winged Blade, make sure to get the 350 health in the bubble passive, and just make sure you stay alive in the fight so you have more bombs to utilize. JustJack, his shields have been on point. Deathwalker, no, takes to the sky, and it's going to be a Cataclysm on 1, and nowhere for David to go. He's the first one to fall for the Papis.
What a beautiful way to start the end of this game. No hesitation, which has been the Envo Clan's motif the entire way through. 31 minutes on the clock, and Envo Clan starting their final push into the fountain and into the base. Order Titan has fallen. Ladies and gentlemen, the Papis will not move on. It's Envo Clan that we will see in the next round.
Great play from Envo all around. Really big fan of them, and I said at the beginning, this was a pick-based comp based on a team versus a team fighting comp of Envo, and basically there was no picks outside of, like, no numbers was first blooded, and then that was it. We saw nothing else from Dheylo and the Nemesis.
Yeah, I mean, really, this was what I like to call a handoff game for the Papis. Really, what you wanted to see, or what the Papis wanted to see, was Isis do well during the early game, transition into the mid game, and then go, all right, I've done the work. Here you go, Nemesis. Handle the late game. And unfortunately, the Nemesis never really got launched off. And this was the first pick we did see. As we said, Envo went down first. First Blood went the way of the Papis. But watch, it's the follow-up. I don't know if we're going to see it. We do. Dheylo dies in the exchange. And I think that set the table for the entire game.
Papis are going to be eliminated. Envo are going to move on. And player of the game, though, it was 2 for me, but JustJack on that Agni played so well, especially in conjunction with Kayla's. The second the Geb goes in, you can see that. Kayla sets up the kill. JustJack lands all of his abilities in every single team fight. He played so phenomenal. I think 12-1 by the end of the match. It was something like that. I mean, he 11-1 and 11 exactly. So 22, a part of 22 kills out of most of their kills. Just great play all around.
Yeah, I mean, JustJack understood what he had to do. And late game, we saw just a lot of burst damage coming out of him, like a mage should do with that do more. As always, do more with do more, folks. But really, early game, I saw so many stuns.
Yes.
And Agni is a character that has so much utility that you don't always see executed correctly. But right here, JustJack really brought what it had to take. And then, as I said, when it came to late game, this is really all he did. Just let it rain on the enemy.
Really good positioning as well, making sure that he's always behind his Bellona and his Thor so they can peel for him if need be, but also not super far back to where if the enemy team is retreating, he has trouble catching up to him. It's kind of that mid-range player where he's playing around his protection and making plays.
Exactly, and also a lot of times you'll see Agni's play almost too safe, which takes Flame Wave off of the table. So Agni, as you said, keeping in that mid-range, able to use his Flame Wave as well. So the Papis, unfortunately, don't make it on to the next round, but Envo Clan do. We've got some more Smite coming at you. It's European Phase 1 of Relegations coming at you live from Atlanta.